Good morning, everybody. This is Kendra, and I'm coming to you live this morning from my sewing studio for our September Embroidery Club, and I'm super excited to be here this morning. So as you're jumping on to watch, just make sure that you comment so that I know that you guys are out there watching me this morning. I see a couple of people are jumping on. Make sure you comment so that I know that you are here, and let me know where you're watching from this morning. That would be so much fun just to see where everybody is from. All right, people are jumping on. Good morning, Maureen. All right, well, since this video is recorded and you guys can watch it, watch right along with me as I'm sewing this morning, or if you have your kits and you want to sew along with me this morning, you can go right ahead, but this is being recorded, so it will be live on our Facebook page, so you can always come back and rewatch it at your own speed. If you need to pause or whatever you need to do, that is good. Oh, Maureen is making applesauce this morning. It's so yummy. South Dakota, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. So this month for our embroidery club, we are working on these Petite table toppers, and it is the Halloween collection. So you can see there's little pumpkins, some ghosts, some bats, there's a witch's hat, and some candy corn also on there. We're going to be doing the pumpkins this morning. So if you signed up for this class through Pine Needles down at the shop or online, and this month there was no link that was emailed out to everybody. You would have gotten the kit. So you would have actually gotten the pattern with the kit, with the fabrics and everything. If for some reason you did not receive your pattern or your kit, but you did sign up, please send me an email at kendra@pnqs.com. It's Kendra, Kendra @pnqs.com. And we will get you all squared away. So I think there may have been a little hiccup or something in the system. We've received a few emails this morning from some people that did not receive their kits. So if we did not get your kit to you this morning, we are so sorry. We will make sure it gets sent out right away, and we will even include a little surprise in there for you. So if you did not get your kits, please send me an email, and I will make sure that we get those sent out to you. And again, it's Kendra@pnqs.net. Okay, so we are making these little Petite table toppers this morning for our September Embroidery Club. And in your kits, you received some black fabric. And so here's the black fabric that you received. You also received a 12-inch square of orange fabric, and you also received a really fun print. This is for your binding. So we're just going to set all our fabrics aside for right now, and I'm going to come back to those. But also in your pattern, you received a CD as well as the instructions. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take this CD, put it into our computer, and get all our designs and everything that we need transferred over onto our USB sticks. So if this is your very first embroidery club with us, welcome. We're super excited that you're here. So I am going to show you exactly how to take this disc, put it in your computer, and move those designs onto your USB stick. So if you know anybody else that is crazy about embroidery like you are and like I am, and you want to share this video with them, you can go ahead and share it. And also, I just wanted to let you know, they just told me that Pine Needles now has a YouTube channel. So if you are crazy about YouTube, go out on YouTube, check it out. You can see all the playlists. All these videos will be posted right there on that YouTube page as well. So that's another place where you can find our videos. So you have your disc that you got out of your pattern. I'm gonna take you over here to my computer screen and show you exactly how to get these designs. Okay, so hang tight 1 second. I'm gonna swing the camera around, and I'm gonna shut the light off so there's no glare. So there's my computer screen. Let me just zoom in a little bit. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put the disc into my computer. All right, let's see here. Can you guys see that okay? Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so I put the disc in my computer and this little window popped up. Let me move this over just a little bit. So this window popped up. Here it is, Petite Table Toppers number 2, and that's what we're going to be using. So now I have my USB stick, and I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my little USB port down here. And there is my Embroidery Club, all my Embroidery Club files on there. I'm just going to minimize that for right now. So what I want to do is I want to take this folder with the Petite Table Toppers that's on the right hand side, and over here it says this is my Embroidery Club stick. So what I want to do is I want to just click and drag that whole folder right over where it says the name of my stick. I don't know if you can see that. Hang tight 1 second. So you can kind of see here's my folder that I'm dragging over, and I'm taking it to the name of that stick. And once I bring it over there and it's highlighted, I'm just going to drop it. And then I get a little window that comes up that says it's copying all of those items over. No, you can't see that. This is the window that pops up that says all those designs are being copied over. So I'm going to give it just a minute to transfer all those designs over onto the stick. Move that down. Okay, so now I just want to open this up and show you what designs are actually being transferred over onto the stick. The first file is called Cutwork Designs. So if you have not used the Bernina Cutwork tool, this is what that looks like. It's the Bernina Cutwork tool, and I'm going to show you how to use that today, and I'm super excited because this is a brand new technique that we have not used in our embroidery club. So I'm going to show you how to use the Cutwork tool. So we need those Cutwork designs and then our embroidery designs, and those come in all formats for all different machines. And then there's a gallery of pictures of different table toppers. And then you have your SVG and your JPEG images. So those SVG images, those are, if you have an electronic cutting machine like a Cricut or a Silhouette or something like that, those are the files that you need right there. You also have your Cutwork instructions. So if you want to go ahead and print those off, you can do that. And then there's a guide to binding your project. There is a color change sheet. It's a PDF for your table topper. And then your table topper instructions. You'll for sure want to print off those table topper instructions so that you have those handy so you can follow along with that. Okay. So now what I need to do is I'm going to go over here to my little stick, and I'm just going to right click on that, and I'm going to go down to eject because it's done copying those, and I just want to safely eject my USB stick. All right, here's my USB stick. I have all the designs transferred over onto the stick, and I'm ready to go back to the machine. Hang tight 1 second. I'm just going to bring you back over here so I can tell you what's next. Okay. So in your kits with your fabric, you have your black piece of fabric. What you want to do with this is you want to cut it down to 18 inches square. So I have already cut mine down to 18 inches square. And the next thing that you are going to need is a piece of fusible fleece. So this is like a piece of batting, but on one side you can feel these little bumps on there, and those are the little glue bumps. So what we're gonna do is my iron, it just shut off. I want my iron to be nice and hot. So I'm going to take my piece of my fusible fleece, and I'm just going to lay it so those bumps, let me show you. I did a little rearranging in my sewing room this morning so I can have a better workspace to show you guys what I got going on here. Okay, so I have my fusible fleece laid out onto my wool pressing mat with those little bumps, the scratchy side, those are the little glue bumps facing up. And then I'm going to take my piece of my black fabric, and both of these are cut to 18 inches square, and I'm just going to line it up. So once it's lined up on there, I can take my iron, and I'm just going to use my iron and just press that fusible fleece onto the back side of my black fabric so that it's all fused together. Just going to rotate that around, make sure that this is all getting fused together. And you just want to be careful not to let those little glue bumps from that fusible fleece touch the bottom side of your iron, because that will create a nice mess for you to clean up later. So this is a little different as well, because we are going to be embroidering on this black piece of fabric right through the fusible fleece as well. So the techniques are a little bit different this month, which is great because I love showing you guys all kinds of new ways to use your embroidery machine on all these fun projects. Okay, so now my black fabric is fused to the fusible fleece. So now what I want to do is I want to take a look at my instructions. So on page 2 of our instructions, it says what we're going to want to do is mark our fleece-backed background fabric as shown in this picture right here. So we just want to go from corner to corner diagonally and then straight through the centers, top to bottom, left to right. So I'm just going to move this so I can get over here to my cutting board so I have a nice surface to work on. And I'm just going to use my little sew line. I'm going to bring this camera over here a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. I'm using this little sew line chalk pencil to mark my fabric. So I know that this is 18 inches square, so I want to measure 9 inches, and I have an 8.5 inch ruler here. So let me get this lined up on my cutting mat so I get it nice and square. So I'm going to measure 9 inches over and go right through the center. And then I'm going to measure again 9 inches over and go right through the center again since I rotated my fabric. So now you can see my chalk lines are top to bottom, left to right. Now I need to do my diagonal lines, and my ruler isn't quite long enough to go all the way diagonal from tip to tip. So I'm just going to measure from the crosshairs in the center that I created out to the corner. So now I'm just marking my fabric to get everything nice and ready so I know exactly where to place my designs. So here's my fabric. It is all completely marked. So you want to go ahead and mark your fabric just like this. And then the next step is, if you look at step number 3 on your instructions, it says that we are going to mark the diagonal lines for applique embroidery. So if we're doing the jack-o'-lantern, his name is Jack, that's the top one in your instructions, you want to measure 5 inches out from the center. So not all of them are the same. If you're doing the ghost, it's 4.5, the candy corn is 4.5, the witch's hat is 4.5 inches, and the bats are 4.5. So the jack-o'-lanterns are the only ones that we are going to measure 5 inches out from the center. And that is on the diagonal lines. And it shows you in this illustration right here exactly how you want to mark your fabric. It's on the to make sure I was reading that right. So on the diagonal lines, we're measuring 5 inches out from the center. So I'm just marking those lines. So you can see I have those marked. Now on our vertical and our horizontal lines, we're going to mark those 5.5 inches out from the center. So as I'm going along, if you have any questions, make sure to put it in the comments. And if I don't answer your questions because I don't see them right now, after the video is over, I'll go back through and I will read all the comments and I will answer your questions at that time. All right, so now we have all of our lines marked, and you can see all those little intersections with all of our little measurements that are 5 inches out on the diagonal lines, and on the vertical and the horizontal lines, they are 5.5 inches out. So now what we want to do is we have that all done. So now the next thing I want to talk to you about is the hoops that we are using for this project. So for this project, I am sewing on My Bernina, and so I'm going to be using just the medium-sized hoop. So it's just this little rectangle hoop that I'm going to be using. And for this, you're also going to want your little template. So it's that crosshairs, that little plastic that came with your hoop. You're going to want to use this as well, just to make sure that we have everything all ready to go. I see Kathy says she loves her Laura Star iron, and I must really talk about it. So I love my Laura Star iron too. So if any of you are not familiar with the Laura Star irons, I encourage you to stop in at Pine Needles if you're local and check them out. Ask for a little demo on them. But they stay super hot, they produce a lot of steam, and they are perfect. All right, Cindy's here this morning. Okay. And the stabilizer that we are using with our little medium-sized hoop is Polymesh. So Polymesh is a product from OESD. It is a cutaway stabilizer. So this is the stabilizer that we're using today for our project. So I'm going to get this started stitching because we have a couple stitch outs that it has to do for this project. And then I'm going to go back and show you what to do with the rest of our fabric. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take our medium-sized hoop, and you want to make sure that you have it nice and loose. Be careful not to get it too loose so that little screw falls. You don't want that little screw to fall out. You're going to take your piece of poly mesh and you're just going to lay it over the bottom side of your hoop. And if you have a master hooper. It is super heavy. It has these little clamps on the side. It really helps to hoop up when you're hooping multiple layers of fabric. So we're going to go ahead and use that today. Move the camera again so you can see what I got going on here. So I'm going to clip my medium hoop onto the master hooper. I'm going to take my piece of poly mesh stabilizer, lay that there on the hoop, and now I'm going to take my background fabric and we're going to work on our horizontal and our vertical lines. So if you look at your instructions, down here in this little illustration, it looks like we are hooping our fabric in our hoop in this orientation. But I was actually able to still get it in the up and down orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again, just because for me it's just a little bit easier. But if you ever have a project that doesn't fit in the hoop one way, you want to make sure you are always watching that orientation of your design and how you hoop your fabrics. Okay, so then what you want to do is you want to take this template plastic with the little crosshair grid, and you're going to line the center of this crosshair up with that marking. And remember, on our horizontal and our vertical lines, we measured 5.5 inches out from the center. So let's see if I can show you what that looks like. And I have it all lined up, so I'm just going to hold the hoop with my thumbs and then reach underneath the fabric and just give it a little pinch so I can try to hold it all in place so I can show you what it looks like. So it kind of shifted a little bit, but that's exactly what it looks like. And then I'm just going to lay that on top of that poly mesh in my hoop and get this to snap right in. Before you snap it in, if you have to readjust your fabric, go ahead and do that. And if you're sewing on a Bernina and you have the pinpoint placement, it's okay if it's a little bit crooked. I'm going to show you how to use the pinpoint placement on this design as well. And you're just going to get it in there. You can take your hoop off of the master hooper, slightly press your hoop, your inner hoop to the back side just a little bit, and then tighten it up. Ellen is asking, we don't need to use the spray adhesive on the stabilizer per the written instructions. So if you have the spray, like the spray adhesive, like the 505, anything like that, you can use it if you want to. I feel like it just kind of makes a floaty mess of that 505 in my sewing room. So I did not use it because I fused the fusible fleece to the back here, and these designs aren't super huge, so I am not using that spray adhesive on that stabilizer on the back. And you can see that there's no wrinkles or anything in my stabilizer, so I'm good to go without it. Okay, so now this is in the hoop. It's all ready to go over to my machine. So I'm going to bring you over here to the machine, and this morning I'm stitching on my 880. So if I zoom this in, there's the orientation of that Happy Halloween, which we know is not the way I want it to stitch out here. So I'm just going to press my little eye icon. I'm going to rotate my design 90 degrees, and that's how I want it to stitch out. Now the orientation is correct. So remember when I talked about if it's hooped crooked, not to worry about it because we can straighten it out. So I'm going to go back to the little eye icon, and I'm going to choose the little box for the pinpoint placement. And it's telling me to go ahead and put my hoop on my machine. And it's on there now. So now what I want to do is select the little grid on the top. And that gives me little points of the center, the top center, the bottom center, and then also on the left and the right. So what I want to do is tap that center, that very center circle. And now my machine is going to move to the very center of the Happy Halloween. So now if I take my needle and I drop it down, it should fall right in the center of those chalked lines. And if it doesn't, that's okay, I can move it. I want to just move it just a hair to the right. And it's pretty good up and down, so I'm going to say that's good. And I'm going to hit set. I want to set that there. Now if I go up to the top and I hit the center top line, or top little circle, if I drop my needle down, I can see it's off just a touch. So I want to just rotate it over, move that line over a little bit, and that's pretty good. So now I'm going to hit set there. So now that just ever so slightly rotated my design, so it's ready to start stitching. So for the Happy Halloween, I am using Isacord number 0822. It's this gold color, and I felt like the gold color kind of set off the orange a little bit to make it a little more rustic feeling, but it also matched that binding fabric that was in my kit. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started and stitch out my very first Happy Halloween. All right, now that's going. Okay, hang on one second. Now I'm going to show you what we are going to do with our 12-inch orange square piece of fabric and how to use the Cutworks tool. I love the Bernina Cutworks tool, and anytime I have the chance to use it, you bet that's what I'm going to do. So here's my orange piece of fabric. I'm going to put that on my cutting or on my wool ironing mat. I'm going to give it a little press. Now what I'm going to use is I'm going to use some Steam a Seam number 2. So I just have a huge roll of this. I cut a 12-inch square of this that I want to fuse onto the wrong side of my orange fabric. So again, I'm using the Steam a Seam number 2, and I'm going to fuse that on the wrong side of my orange fabric. Let me move the camera over here so you can see what I got going on. So here is my Steam a Seam number 2, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off this like parchment paper, and it's a little bit sticky. And this is a little bit bigger, but that's okay. I think I cut a 12-inch square, and it's actually only 10 inches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fuse this onto this fabric. Just be careful on the edges. I may have gotten it a little too close. That's all right. I'll clean that up later. It's no fun having to clean that mess up, but that's all right. Let me just trim this extra down just a little bit. Okay, now I'm just going to finish just getting those little bubbles out of there. All right, so now this is smoothed out. This is my orange piece of fabric. I have my seam number 2 on the back side. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and cut this into 4 pieces. So I think I said it was a 12-inch square, but now it's really a 10-inch square. So I'm going to cut it into 4 5-inch squares. So I'm just going to cut it in half one way and then rotate it and cut it in half the next. Alright, so now I have my 4 5-inch squares that I need to be able to use my Cutworks tool. So when I'm using the Cutworks, I have another medium size hoop, and for this I'm just using a piece of lightweight tearaway stabilizer. This again is a product from OESD. It's super lightweight, and I just want to go ahead and hoop just my stabilizer. So I have the stabilizer hooped. I pressed it through to the back just so I have a little bit of a lip there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hoop over to my machine. So I'm going to turn you around so you can see. For this I'm using the Bernina 700 machine. And our little Happy Halloween just finished. So let me show you that real quick. So, whoops, there is our first stitch out of our Happy Halloween. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I want to just keep this machine stitching because we have quite a bit of stitching to happen over there. So I'm going to pop this out of the hoop. You can see we have some excess stabilizer on the back. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and trim that excess stabilizer off the back. And you can just roughly cut around the edges of your words on the back side. Don't trim that fusible fleece, just the stabilizer. And you can just throw your excess stabilizer away. And now we're going to do the same thing as far as hooping on our next horizontal or vertical line. So I have my hoop all loaded up. Here's my piece of my poly mesh stabilizer. I'm going to lay that on the hoop. I'm going to take my inner hoop and put my piece of template plastic with my crosshairs on there. I'm going to line up that little measurement from the center along with that horizontal or vertical line, and then just move my fabric and my hoop back over to the bottom part of the hoop and just get that to snap in there. All right, so that's in there. If you look real closely, you can see that the crosshairs are just a little bit, the marking is just a little bit below the center crosshairs of the hoop, but again, that's okay because of the pinpoint placement. This is all ready to go back on the machine, so I'm going to move you back over here. Zoom in so you can see what I got going on here. All right, so I'm going to just hit my little flag. put my hoop back on the machine. And again, I'm going to go to the icon and I'm going to shut the pinpoint placement off, but then I'm going to turn it right back on to reset everything. I'm going to hit my center dot of the grid, and that is where I want my needle to line up with those chalk markings. So I'm going to just use my little buttons to move my design either right or left, up or down, so that when I drop my needle, it falls right into those chalk markings right in the center. And I'm going to set that one, and then I'm going to go to the top and do the same thing there. Just a little bit more. And these are just little tiny movements, but it does help to make the difference to make sure that everything is right where it needs to be. Okay, that looks good. I'm just going to hit set. And now I'm ready to stitch this one out. Okay, so that's going to go. I'm going to bring it back over here to the 700. And I already have the design pulled up, but I want to show you how I pulled the designs off my stick. So here's my USB stick. I'm going to insert it into the side of my machine. At the top you have your sewing machine and your USB stick that you see right here. You want to select the USB stick because that's where your designs are. And then I'm going to move it over to the folder that says the Petite Table Toppers #2. And I want the Cutwork designs. So I'm going to select the Cutwork designs folder. And I want #1 that says Jack because that's what we're working on. So I'm going to select Jack. And my machine is telling me I have the 44 foot on, but I really have the 26 foot on. So I'm going to fix that and tell it I have the 26 foot on. Okay, so this is what our design looks like. We have just our lightweight tearaway stabilizer hooped into our medium hoop here. I am going to put my hoop on the machine. And I'm going to touch the needle. So I do have just an isocord thread threaded through the needle. It doesn't matter which color for this, but what we're going to stitch out first is just our placement line for our fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and just stitch out that placement line. And while that's stitching, this is the Bernina Cutwork tool. It comes in this cute little box that says Cutwork on it. So when I open this up, inside here is what looks like a little dial, but the very top of that, it looks just like a needle top. And there's a little blade here on the bottom. And there's also a foot in here. And the foot that's in here is the number 44 foot. So you want to go ahead and take that out as well. And I'm just going to set those aside so I have them ready to go when I need them. All right, so here is, if you can see, it's in orange thread. It's a little box that is stitched out onto just my stabilizer. That's my placement line. So now I'm going to grab my 4 layers of my orange fabric. So it's all 4 layers I have here, and I'm just going to square those up. I'm going to lay those in the hoop so that they're completely covering that little box that just stitched out. And I'm going to put my hoop back on my machine. And now what it's going to stitch out is just the tack down line in the shape of our pumpkin. So I have my needle, the speed going pretty slow. All right, so now if you can kind of see, there is the tack down stitch in the shape of the pumpkin. So now I'm going to do a little bit of changing things around on my machine. I want to take my number 26 foot off. So my number 26 foot is off of my machine. Now I'm going to use my little screwdriver and I'm going to remove the needle off of my machine. You can go ahead and cut your thread and remove the thread out of your machine because you're not going to need that. And now we're going to grab that little dial that was in our Cutworks tool. And you'll see on here there's little numbers. There's like a little, you can see the little number 1 in the box, and there's a little number 2, 3, and 4. So you want it so that the number 1 is in the box, and then that's going to make the flat part just like the top of your needle, the flat part to the back. And you're going to insert this just like you would a needle into your machine. So make sure it's in all the way. And then you're just going to tighten that up. Now I'm going to take that number 44 foot that was included in that Cutworks, and I am going to put that onto my machine. All right, now I'm going to tell my machine that I changed it from the 26 foot to the 44C foot. Okay. So now here is our 4 layers for our pumpkins that are all tacked down. That's ready to go. But my other machine just stopped stitching. So I want to go ahead and get that going again. So I'm going to jump over here to the other machine. Here's my Happy Halloween. So now we have 2 of the 4 done. So I can go ahead and pop this out. And again, I'm going to go ahead and trim all this excess stabilizer off the back. And make sure if you're watching that you're commenting to let me know where you're watching from. We have lots of door prizes to give away today. We'll get to those in just a minute. Okay, so I trimmed all the excess stabilizer off the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and hoop this up again on my next horizontal or vertical line. Bring it over here so you can see my master hooper. And again, I'm going to put that bottom part of my hoop, I'm going to make sure it's nice and loose, and then clip it onto my master hooper. Here's another piece of the poly mesh stabilizer that I have cut to the size of the hoop. I'm just going to lay that over the top. I'm going to grab my little template plastic and place that in the inside of my hoop and get it all lined up again so those center crosshairs are marked up with those chalk lines on my fabric. And then I'm just going to move my fabric over to the hoop. Ellen was asking about that spray adhesive, and the first time that when I made my sample, which I haven't even shown you guys the sample of what we're making yet, I should do that. I did the first one the way that they wanted to do with the spray adhesive, and I just felt like it made a sticky mess on my hoops, so I didn't use it on the rest of them. All right, that's squared up nice, so I'm just going to tighten my hoop up. And now I am going to go ahead and take this, hang tight with me as I move you back over here to my machine. I'm going to hit the checkered flag. I'm going to put my hoop back on the machine. I'm going to go to my little edit button, choose the little eye, go to the pinpoint placement. I'm just going to shut it off by touching those little butterflies there on the bottom. Remove my template plastic. The grid is selected, so that's on my design. I'm going to select the center circle again. It moves, so my needle should drop right in that center crosshairs, and it's a little off, which is okay. I'm just going to use my dials to dial it in so that the needle drops right in the center of those markings. And now it does. So I can hit set, and I'm going to go hit the center dot on the top. Drop my needle down, and that looks good. I'm going to hit set. Now I have 2 circles with yellow circles around them. That is good to go. Hit the X. And now I'm ready to start stitching my 3rd Happy Halloween. All right. So this is going to go. Now I'm going to show you on the Cutworks again. So we're going to go back over here to the 700. And I'm just going to try to zoom this in so you can see exactly what's happening on the screen. Okay. So I have my little Cutworks tool placed where the needle is supposed to be on my machine down here. And I have my number 44 foot on. Here's my medium hoop. My pumpkins are all tacked down. There's 4 layers of fabric here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hoop on the machine. And this little black ribbon right here, that's step number 3. But if I look real closely, it shows me a picture of that little blade for that Cutwork that is in the needle, and it shows the number 1 is in the box. So, and it also says cut 1. Number 1. So that's why I want to make sure that number 1 is showing in that little box on that little dial. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and just start my machine, and it's going to make the number 1 cut. And you'll notice that when it does the number 1 cut, it doesn't go all the way around that design. It's kind of going to jump all over and do just what's highlighted on our screen here. Peggy's asking what foot plate do I use? Good question. There is a straight stitch or a Cutwork foot plate on the 700 machine. It's just that straight stitch plate. I didn't change anything with there, but you don't want to use like any of your 5mm or 9mm stitch plates for this. You want to make sure it is a Cutwork stitch plate or your 0mm stitch plate. Okay, so now it's done, and now it says cut number 2. So how I get to number 2, if you can see, I'm just going to grab the white part of this little dial here. I'm just going to pinch it, and I'm going to rotate it to the left until the number 2 clicks into the box. So now it's number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and start my machine and let it do the number 2 cut. Now, if you're thinking, I don't have the Cutworks tool or I don't sew on a Bernina, how do I do this? You're going to do your applique just like you would any other applique. Okay, so now it says number 3. Again, I'm just going to grab that dial and rotate it to the left until the number 3 clicks into that little silver box. And then I'm going to start again. And what that's doing is it's just rotating the angle of the blade a little bit, so that it can get all those cuts in all of the curves around that pumpkin. All right, and now it's on cut number 4, so I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate until the number 4 clicks into the little silver box, and start my machine again and let it do the number 4 cut. So Cindy's asking, so each number corresponds to a different kind of cut. That's exactly what it's doing. Each number is just a different angle of the blade. So it is corresponding to a different kind of cut. Georgina is asking, can you use, she has Quiltworks, but I know she wants to say Cutworks on the Bernina 560 machine. Yes, you can. And Jane is asking, can I buy the Cutworks tool to go with my Bernina? Great question. Absolutely you can. Okay, so now if you look at my machine, you'll see I have the little checkered flag, so I'm all finished. So I can go ahead and take my hoop off the machine, and I want to show you how cool this is. Are you watching? So it doesn't look like it really did much, but watch this. I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on my orange pumpkins, and look at how clean they all just cut out. This is what's left over in the hoop. Now all my pumpkins are cut to the right size, and they have all those nice little details to go right into my applique shapes. So this part right here, you can just take that out of your hoop and throw that in the trash. So this is why I like Cutworks so well, because these cuts are so nice and clean, and they're the perfect size for everything that I need for my stuff, for my applique pieces. Okay. So we're all done with the Cutworks. So Jane was asking, can she buy the Cutworks tool to go with her Bernina? Yes, you can. And I want to tell you something. If you are watching this today, I am so glad you're watching. And if you're interested in the Cutworks, I want you to send me an email that you are interested in the Cutwork tool, and you can send that to kendra@pnqs.net. Send me a little note saying you're interested in the Cutworks tool, and I'm going to connect with you to get you the Cutworks tool, and I can give you 20% off on that today. So make sure you send me an email that you are interested in the Cutworks tool, and I will help you get 20% off of that. Okay, so here is our little pumpkins. You can see on the back, they all have that Steam Seam number 2 on the back. So I'm going to just set those aside until I'm ready to use those for my embroidery applique pieces. Okay, so it stopped over here with our Happy Halloween. So that's number 3. We have one more to go. So again, I'm just going to pop it out of the hoop, flip it to the back, and I'm going to trim away all the excess stabilizer off the back, just like I did with the first 2. All right, so now I'm going to go, I'm going to quickly show you what it looks like. So you can see I have Happy Halloween on both sides. I have one on the top. Now I'm going to put my one on the bottom. So I'm going to move you back over here so you can watch this again. I'm going to put the bottom of my hoop, loosen it up, put that on there. Here is my piece of polymesh stabilizer. I'm going to lay that on top of my hoop. Grab my template plastic, line up the crosshairs again with those center markings. Move my inner hoop along with my fabric over to the bottom hoop. And just try to keep it lined up as best you can. And just pop that inner hoop in. I'm going to take it off with the master hooper. Push your top hoop to the back side just a little bit. Tighten it up. And now I'm ready to take this hoop over to the machine to do my last Happy Halloween. Bring it back over here. Hit the checkered flag. Put my hoop back on the machine. Green check mark. Go into my edit. My little eye. I'm going back into the pinpoint placement. I'm going to shut it off by touching the butterflies. It's not really shutting it off, it's just clearing it. And the grid is still selected, so now I'm going to select the center dot again. And my needle should move to close to the center, and it's not. So I'm just going to adjust it so when I drop my needle, it should fall right into those center crosshairs that are marked in chalk. And there it is. So I'm going to hit set. And now I'm going to go to the top one. And I'm just going to rotate that a little bit. That looks good. I'm going to hit set. I have 2 yellow circles. Now I can X out of it. Touch my needle, and I can begin stitching my last Happy Halloween out. All right. Okay, so while that's stitching, this is our little table topper that we are making. I should have showed you this at the beginning. I forgot about it because I got so excited about the Cutworks and I just wanted to jump right in and show you all of that. But this is our little candle mat, our table topper, or whatever you would like to use it on. And those are our little jack-o'-lanterns, our little pumpkins that we're doing. Isn't that cute? So I'm walking you through step by step on exactly how to make this. So while that is stitching out the final Happy Halloween, let's see, we have our binding fabric. So you can prepare your binding, and I like to prepare my binding at 2 1/4 inch strips. So you can cut this into 2 1/4 inch strips, and then you can just join them together. You'll probably need like 3 or 4 strips just to make sure that you have enough if you want to cut 4 2 1/4 inch strips out of this binding and then join them together. That's what you can do while you're finishing stitching your Happy Halloween. Here are my strips. They're already ready to go. I joined them together on the diagonal. You can see that right there. And then I just press them in half, wrong sides together. So there is my binding, all prepared and ready to go. All right. So Connie says that is a good size. It is a good size. It's not super tiny, but it is a good size. So that is super exciting. If you are watching, remember I said we have lots of door prizes to give away. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you comment. If this is your first time watching us and you haven't seen some of the projects that we've done so far this year, let me show you what we've done. So our embroidery club, we set it up as like a yearly thing. So when we started in January, we made this Kimber sparkle tote, and this one does have the little fairy lights in there, so you can see some of the different techniques and the different things that we added on. So our applique was the wool felt sheets, and the sparkle is done in the glitter applique sheets. So this was really fun. That was in January. In February, we made Life is Short, Eat the Cake. So with this one, we used the Kimber leather for some of our applique pieces. So the cherry is a piece of leather and the plate is also a piece of leather. And we used one of the fun Kimber ombre tea towels. And then we added a piece of fabric onto the top to make this into a boa. So when you can make these as little gifts, and it just goes around your neck, and then you have your little tea towel. You can have your cute little applique on one side, and you can use your other side for drying the dishes, wiping your hands, whatever you need to do. So that was February. In March, we made this little bunny trails. It is a Easter basket. So we used one of the tote bags from Kimber and we made it into a little bucket or a basket. So it's like a little Easter basket, and we included extra fabric to line it and add this little ruffle by using the Bernina ruffler tool on the bottom. So that was March. In April, we made this Velveteen Pouch in this amethyst color with this little terranium in there. So we used some more of the wool felt, we used some more of the leather, and then we used a piece of the clear vinyl to give it this cute little terranium. And this is also a Kimber little pouch, and so it's completely lined and everything is done. And then we added a little wool felt ball as a little zipper pull on the end, held on by some of the Kimber twine. So that was what we did in April. In May, we made these super cute tapestry bags, and these are in this was OESD product, and we made all of these little bags so you can see all the designs on here. That is all embroidery thread. Isn't that cool? And we added the zipper and everything right in the hoop. Like I said, these bags are completely lined, and they came in 2 different sizes. So this is the smaller design, and let me like line it up. You can see the outline of the other one. It's just a little bit larger. This is the large design. And there was 3 different styles of bags. This was like the ombre, like rectangle bag. So fun to put all of your fun little things in there, or make little pencil cases or whatever for back to school. And this was the 3rd one. So that is all embroidery thread on there. It was just a plain piece of fabric and all embroidery thread. So that was May, and I'll show you the rest in just a second because our Happy Halloween is all done. So that is our 4th Happy Halloween. That is all done. So again, you're just going to want to go ahead and trim that excess stabilizer off the back. Looking at some of the comments, Jane said there's been some really neat embroidery projects. We try to change it up a little bit so you're learning a different technique, and so that not everything is applique. But Kathy, yes, I did say the bags are from OESD. They're the tapestry bags. Okay, so now we have all 4 of our Happy Halloweens on all of the horizontal and vertical line. So now what we need to do is do our jack-o'-lanterns on our diagonal lines. So now I'm going to do the same thing. Let me move you over here so you can see what's happening on my okay. So I'm going to put the bottom of my hoop, I'm going to loosen it up, put put it back on my master hooper. I'm going to take another piece of my poly mesh stabilizer, lay that in the hoop. I'm looking for my template plastic to line everything up. Here's my template plastic. I'm going to put it in the inner part of my hoop. Now I'm going to those diagonal lines and I'm lining that up with the center crosshairs on that template plastic. And then I'm just going to pinch and move it over. Oh, this shifted a little bit. Make sure that poly mesh stays in my hoop. Move this over and just hoop it up. I'm just tightening up my hoop. I press the inner hoop to the back side just a little bit. You'll hear me say that, and the reason why I'm doing that is just to protect the bed of my sewing machine. I don't want it to get scratched up from any of the vibration as my projects are embroidering. Okay, now I can bring you back over to the machine. Okay, so now when I hit my little checkered flag, it's going to tell me to go ahead and put my hoop on my machine. But my Happy Halloween is still coming up. Can you see that? Let me zoom in a little bit. Move you over here so you can get a square view a little bit. Okay, well, I don't want that Happy Halloween on there. Now I'm ready for my pumpkins. So what I did is I grabbed my USB stick again. I'm going to stick that in my machine. I'm going to go to the folder up here on my Bernina, and I'm going to do the folder with the arrow pointing up. And I'm going to choose Jack down here in the corner, this pumpkin. Well, he was supposed to be there. Where did he go? Let me just try to get out of everything and go back in. Okay, choosing Jack. There he is. All right, so now I'm going to do my little eye icon. And I'm going to do my pinpoint placement, which is the square with the little square being a little turn sideways in there. Remove my template plastic. I'm going to hit the center circle again of the grid. And now when I drop my needle, it should come down right in the center, and mine is off just a little bit, so I'm just going to adjust it just a little tiny bit. And hit set because I like where it's coming down. Now I'm going to hit that top circle again in the center. And I'm going to move that just a little to the right. And I like that, so I'm going to hit set. All right, so I'm done with the gold colored thread. And again, that was color 0822 that I used for the Happy Halloween words. And now I'm going to change my thread over to the Isacord orange color. And let me just quickly grab that off the other machine. So the orange color that I'm using for my pumpkins is Isacord number 1102. I'm just going to thread my machine quickly. And I just have white OESD bobbin fill thread in my bobbin. All right, now my needle is all threaded. I hit set, I can X out of there. I'm ready to begin stitching. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and stitch the pumpkin placement line. Now I have my little pumpkins over here that we already cut out. And now, again, if you don't have the Bernina Cutworks tool, you can still do this project. I'm just going to peel the back side of this steam-a-seam paper off the back side of my pumpkin. So you can still do this if you did not have the Cutworks tool to cut this out, cut this little pumpkin out. What you're going to do is you're going to take your 5-inch square piece of orange fabric. This is your placement line. You're just going to lay that 5-inch square right over this. Put your hoop back on the machine and it will tack it down. But since I use the Cutwork tool and I already have my little pumpkin right here, I'm just going to lay this pumpkin in here. And this steam-a-seam, it's a little bit sticky, so it kind of will stick right in there. But that is fusible. So I'm going to take you back over here to my ironing mat. And I'm going to move my master hooper out of the way for this. And I'm just going to lay my hoop in my project right on my wool pressing mat. And I have this little steam fast iron that fits right in my hoop. And I'm just going to touch this pumpkin in here and fuse it down in place. So now you can see this is my pumpkin. It's all fused in place. The Bernina Cutworks tool cut out my fabric so that it is, the applique shape is the right size for that placement line that was just stitched in there. Now I can go ahead and put my hoop right back on the machine. Judy is asking how much the Cutworks tool is. I will get a link put up in the comments so that it will show you exactly how much that Cutworks tool is. But again, if you're interested in adding the Cutworks tool, send me an email at kendra@pnqs.net, and I will be happy to answer any questions or help you get that Cutworks tool at 20% off today. Okay, so now if you were just using your 5-inch square piece of fabric, you laid your 5-inch square so it was covering that placement line. Now it's going to tack it down. So this is the next line that's going to stitch. And it will be right on the edge of our little pumpkin. So it's also helping just kind of tack this piece down as well. Okay, so I'm just going to take my hoop off so I can show you. It just did that outline stitch, and it's right there on the outside of those applique pieces all the way around. So if you have your 5-inch square of fabric here, once it tacks it down, you're going to go ahead and you're just going to use the scissors and you're going to trim away that excess as close as you can to that outside of that stitch line that it just stitched all the way around. But as you can see, the Cutwork tool helped us so that we don't have to worry about trimming that excess away because it's right there on the edge. So now I can go ahead and just do that satin decorative stitch all the way around my little jack-o'-lantern here. So that's really the benefit of using the Cutworks tool on this. Patty says she's learning so many things today. That's awesome. It's always fun to learn new things. Okay, so while it's doing those decorative stitches, I'm going to finish showing you guys what else we have made so far this year in our embroidery club. So we left off with those OESD tapestry bags that we made back in June, and then in July we made these fun little recipe tea towels. So this is chocolate fudge. These are more for Christmas, but these were for holidays. And for July we had like the baked beans and these tea towels. These are available at Pine Needles as well. You notice that they have these cute little gingham strip on the bottom. So this is the baked beans recipe. This is the potato salad recipe. And this is the deviled eggs recipe. So these were for July. So those were the 4th of July ones. But as I said, there is different holidays. So on that CD, it also included the Halloween ones. And this is the dirt and worms with the little black gingham fabric on the bottom. The caramel apples. And the witch's potion. So look at how fun and cute those are. And then for Christmas, again, you saw the chocolate fudge one. These have the green on the bottom. The eggnog. And my favorite one is the sugar cookies. So again, the green gingham check on the bottom. So a little update about the price of the Cutworks tool. Because of the Bernina rules, we cannot advertise the pricings online, so we can't put a link on there. I think I told you I was going to put a link on there. But if you send me an email, I will give you all the details. We want to stay within our rules with Berninas so that we can keep everybody happy with their Berninas. And the price of the Cutworks tool, I can tell you the price, but we cannot publish them. The price is... let me just quickly look, and interested in those, just be sure to send me an email and I will answer any questions that you have and get you hooked up with that Cutworks tool. Okay, so those were our towels that we did in July. And last month we did this Squeeze a Day lemon table topper, where you learned the technique on how to use the OESD template sheets. So those were the projects that we have done so far this year in our embroidery club. So if you're brand new and watching, you want to make sure that you sign up and join us next month. Next month we are going to be working on these cute little, where did I put them? I had them right here a second ago. They're right over here. So next month, you'll want to make sure you sign up and join us. We are going to be making these super cute little coasters from Claudia's Creations. So Claudia is also going to be at the shop coming up real soon. So if you've never taken a class from her and you love embroidery, she's got a lot of really fun techniques. So you want to make sure that you sign up for her class. But this is our embroidery club project for next month. And here is some more of the designs that are available on that CD as well. So again, sometimes you get a CD with your subscription to the embroidery club once you sign up, and sometimes it's an email with a link. So this month it was an actual disc. Next month it's going to be an actual disc as well. And our October embroidery club is happening. It's going to be virtual right here on our Facebook page at 10 a.m. on October 15th. So it's Friday, October 15th at 10 a.m. is when we are going to be making those cute little coasters. So you can call the shop or sign up online. So I'd love to have you all make those little coasters with us. Okay, so here is my pumpkin. And all the satin stitches with all the decorative stitches have been done. So now I want to go ahead and change my thread. And we are going to be doing the stem of our pumpkin. So for the stem, I am using an Isacord light brown color 0853. And again, I'm just giving you the colors that I'm using. You're welcome to use whichever color you would like. If you want to put a green stem on your pumpkin, you can sure do that. It's your project. It's up to you what you would like to do. So we're going to stitch out that stem. Okay, so if you like taking our classes and everything at Pine Needles and you want to stay in the know with what's happening, again, the Marcia and Joy Show is live at 1 o'clock on Wednesdays every single week. You can catch that here on the Pine Needles Facebook page. Or we also have the Pinecomb Press. This is an awesome little newsletter. You can print the newsletter off online, but this is a nice, cute little magazine. It is also our coupon book. So these are $5, and if you would like to receive our little coupon book with the Pinecomb Press, it's got all these nice colored pictures in here, and it's tabbed on the bottom, so exactly what's going on. You can see notes from Marcia and all the happenings in the shop. So everything that's going on, plus all the classes that we have, are going to be listed in here with with lots of colored pictures to go along with the classes and the dates, and great way to build your skills with all of this stuff. But again, it's the coupon book, so there are some coupons in here that you can use, and I'm just trying to get to that page. So well worth the $5 to enjoy these coupons. So the first one is September. So for the September 1st through the 30th, it's kits and pre-cuts. If you buy 3, you get 2 for free. So that's a great savings for the $5 for your September coupon. October, the newsletter exclusive coupon is for batiks. It's 3 yards. If you buy 3 yards, you get 2 yards free. And then in November, it's the wonderful threads. Our buy 3, get 2 free. So these are great coupon savings. And again, for $5, you can get the coupon book and all of our class information is all in here. So it's free shipping. If you just want to order online to get the Pinecomb Press, it's $5. We will ship it to you for free. Otherwise, if you have other things that you want to add to your order today, if you wanted to stock up on stabilizer or threads or anything else that you need, anything over $49.99 gets you free shipping as well. Okay, so now we are, let me bring the camera back over here. It just stitched out the stem on our little pumpkin. So now we are going to do the face of our jack-o'-lantern. So I'm going to switch my thread to black. And I have a really big cone of black Isacord thread. These are available at the shop as well. And believe it or not, that one is almost half empty. I use black quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch out the face of my jack-o'-lantern. I want to tell you about some other embroidery events that are coming up that if you have not yet signed up for them, don't worry, it's not too late. We'd still love for you to join us. But we are having a virtual 2-day event for our Kimberbell Too Cute to Spook, and that is right here in our Pinecomb Press. And that is happening on September 25th and 26th. So you're going to make all these really cute projects, and let me show you what they are. You're going to be making this super cute little witch's hat. It's like a little finger puppet, or you can use it to put your Halloween treats in. So this little witch's hat. This little candy corn, it's all quilted in the hoop. It's all pieced in the hoop, so it's machine embroidered by number. So all the piecing and everything is done right in the hoop. The quilting and everything. We're going to make this super cute little zipper tote It's all lined. All the piecing, the quilting, and everything is done in the hoop. The zipper is put in the hoop, and it is completely lined on the inside. So this is super fun. Beverly says she's not near our location. Are your classes virtual? This Too Cute to Spook class is going to be virtual. So we do offer quite a bit of virtual classes, Beverly, so you could join us. So again, it's not too late to sign up for this event. And just so you know, this Kimberbell event, the Too Cute to Spook, is a retired event. So the only shops that can offer this are the ones that got in and said that they wanted to offer this class to their people at their shop before Kimberbell made the announcement that they were going to retire this event. So we got in before that deadline. That's why we're able to have this class. Look at this. Isn't this cute? This little Einstein. It is a drawstring tote bag. And this one, I didn't put my ribbons in right to make it so that it cinches up the way it should. I need to fix that. But he's super cute, this little Einstein. So this is another project that we're going to make in the Too Cute to Spook. We're going to make this little pumpkin candle mat. And this is going to teach you how to do double hooping. So for the double hooping, you hoop one side, do everything that you can on that side, then you're going to take your project out of the hoop, you're going to rehoop everything on the other side and do it on the other side. So that's a fun little technique that you will learn. And then this little Too Cute to Spook tea towel. Isn't she cute, that little spider with the little bow in her hair? So those are the fun items that we are going to make for Too Cute to Spook. And also on the Kimberbell embroidery events, like this 2-day event, there is a bonus CD that is also offered. The only way you can get that bonus CD is during that event. So you'll want to make sure you sign up if you haven't done so already. There's still some openings. And the next 2-day Kimberbell embroidery event is called Home Sweet Haunted Home. So that is, again, a 2-day event that's going to happen on Saturday, October 9th and Sunday, October 10th. And we're going to make all of those really cute little projects that you can see there. I'm working on stitching those out right now, and as soon as they are stitched out, we can post pictures of Pine Needles Quilt Shop, pnqs.net. Kendra at pnqs.net. Alrighty, and I said we had some door prizes to give away, so if you are watching and you want to comment to get in for the door prizes, you have to have signed up for this event. I have a class list of everybody that signed up for this event, so those are the people that are eligible for the door prizes. Yes, the 2-day events are virtual events, Joni. So, my email is listed in a comment now, so you can grab my email from there if you are still needing it. But let's give away some of these fun door prizes. So the first thing that we have to give away is a clasp purse frame from Kimberbell. These make these really cute little coin purses. So the patterns are also available from Pine Needles for Kimberbell to make these, but this is the little purse clasp. And the winner of this one is Kathleen Unst. I'm sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong. So Kathleen, we will get this sent out to you, or you can pick it up at the shop, whichever comes first. All my stuff organized here. right, make sure you comment so I know that you're watching. All right, there is our little jack-o'-lantern. Isn't he cute? So now we're ready to do our next one. We have a couple of those to go. So again, we're just going to flip it to the back. We're going to trim off all of our excess stabilizer. And now we can go ahead and hoop this up for our next one. Let me bring you over here so you can see what I got going on. So I got my bottom of my hoop in the master hooper. I'm going to grab my template plastic, place that in the inner part of my hoop, and line up the crosshairs with that chalk line that I marked on my fabric. Move this back into the center of the Alright, that is in there. Just going to push that inner hoop to the back side. Tighten it up a little bit. Okay. And yes, it is still poly mesh that I'm using as my stabilizer for my jack-o'-lanterns. So now I'm going to put this back on my machine, my hoop back on my machine. I removed my template plastic out of the center. But I'm going to go to my edit button and back to my pinpoint placement. Touch the butterflies to clear it. The grid is still on. I'm going to touch that center. And if I drop my needle, it should come down right in the center, and it's close, but not quite there. So I can just fine tune it over. That looks good. I'm going to hit set. I'm going to go to the circle on the top. And I can see that I really need to move this over. Bit more. That looks good. I'm just going to hit set. I have my 2 yellow circles. I can X out of it. And now I'm ready to begin stitching. So I am just going to use, or change my thread. So changing it back to the orange, and that is isocord number 1102 again. And it is stitching out our placement line. I'm ready to start. Okay, so that's going to stitch out. All right. Next, we have for a door prize a set of 2 Quilt Minnesota towels with some of the fabric in there. These are tea towels. They're really nice tea towels. with the fabric. So these are from the Quilt Minnesota, and these are going to Lenny Herman. So congratulations, Lenny. We'll get these out to you. All right, and our placement line has been stitched, so now I can grab my orange little jack-o'-lantern that we use the Cutworks tool for. I'm just going to peel away the paper side of that seam on the back. And again, you can feel it, it's just a little tacky, it's a little sticky. And you can see that I'm just going to place that so it's completely inside of that little placement line. And it's just a little tacky, but it will hold in there. Now I can take this over to my little iron and place that right on the top so that it fuses in there. Okay, so that is all fused in there. And now I can take this back over to the machine, put it on there. And again, if you didn't have the Cutworks tool to cut out your little pumpkins, you can just use your 5-inch square piece of your orange fabric, place that over that placement line. And then this next stitch is going to tack your fabric in place. And then you can just trim around the outside. But since ours are cut to the size that they need to be, there's no trimming required. All right, now that's trimmed, or that is all secured down. If you don't have your Cutworks tool to cut out your little pumpkins, you can trim the excess now from the outside of that little tack down line. And once it's all trimmed away, you can go ahead and do that decorative satin stitch around the outside. And I'm just going to trim, I just have a little orange tail hanging up here. I'm just going to trim that and get that out of the way. All right. Now we can go ahead and stitch that out. All right, let's do another door prize. I have a cute little mini charm pack, and this is from the Brenda Riddle design called Sophie. Look at how cute that little charm pack is. I love all of these fabrics. The winner of this little Sophie mini charm pack is Georgina Bird. So congratulations, Georgina. We will get that one sent out to you. Remember, if you're watching and you want to get in on the door prizes and you sign up for the class, go ahead and comment so that I know you're watching, and we'll keep drawing some door prizes. The next door prize is a Moda Scrap Bag, and there are some 2.5-inch strips in here that are really pretty, like yellows and grays. Super fun little Moda Scrap Bag. And the winner of this is Jane Evers. So congratulations, Jane. We will get this sent out to you. is Coffee Time, and these are 5-inch squares, so a little charm pack of Coffee Time fabrics. And the winner of these is Peg Nelson. So congratulations, Peg. We will get you those little charm packs. I have another charm pack from Primitive Gatherings to give away, and these are the American Gathering charm pack. So there's 42 5-inch squares in here. So the winner of these charm packs is Lisa Poole. So congratulations, Lisa. Alright, we're almost done with our little pumpkin here. So if you guys have any more questions on anything that we've done today, you can go ahead and put that in the comments, and I'll answer your questions there. Or if you asked questions earlier and I missed those, I'll go back and read through the comments and make sure to answer anything. All right, now we're going to change from our orange thread back to our light brown for our stem. And again, I'm using color 0853 from Isacord. All right, let's do another door prize. I have this cute little Moda notepad. Super fun to have a little notepad to throw in with your sewing stuff, because you never know when you need a little sheet of paper to work out some of your measurements on things. So the winner of this little notepad is Cindy Hamilton. So congratulations, Cindy. The next I have is a 4.5-inch Nifty Notions blunt tip scissors, and the winner of this is Kathy Plug. So congratulations, Kathy. All right, now we're ready to switch over to our black thread and do the face on our little jack-o'-lantern. Okay, our next little door prize is this Nifty Notions seam ripper. So this one is going to Maureen Kerr. So Maureen, we will get this little seam ripper out to you. You are the winner of the door prize for this little seam ripper. So congratulations, Maureen. We will get this to you. So I hope you guys are enjoying today's project and all the different techniques that we're showing here. These are super fun, and I would love to see some pictures. So if you decide to make lots of these little table toppers, and maybe you don't want to make the pumpkin one, maybe you want to make the witch's hat or the little ghost, make sure you post pictures so we can see pictures. And you can also post those on the Pine Needles or the PNQS Peeps page on Facebook. Okay, we have another little door prize of these Kimberbell ribbons and twine. It's like a little sampler pack from Kimberbell. And the winner of these is Marilyn Sheehan. So congratulations, Marilyn, you get these little ribbons and the twine from Kimberbell. We have one more grand prize to give away for our door prizes. So make sure if you're still watching that you comment and let us know that you're watching. And also, if you would like to share this video, go ahead and share the video with your friends on Facebook so that they know about us, so that they can watch or join us next month. Or and again, these videos are recorded so they can go back and watch the videos again on our Facebook page and see all the fun things that we have done. Sandy's asking that if today's project has other seasonal designs. I would have to check on that. I know with the project today, you still get the Halloween designs. There's different Halloween designs to choose from. But because this is like a volume number 2, I would assume that there's other seasonal designs as well. I just would have to look it up for you. So I'll look that up and then I will comment back on your question. All right, so now we are done with our second little jack-o'-lantern. So again, you're gonna just pop it out of the hoop. You can go ahead and trim the excess stabilizer away from your jack-o'-lantern on the back. And then you would just go ahead and repeat this process again for your third and then your fourth jack-o'-lantern. So once you get them all completely embroidered out, all 4 of them, so you have 8 hoopings that you've done all the way around this 18-inch square piece of fabric. Once you get those all completed, then you're going to want to go ahead and get your piece of fabric all quilted. And to save a little bit of time today, I already have one that is in the square and it is all quilted. So I quilted it with this cute little pumpkin design that you can kind of see there. And I just used invisible thread on the top when I did the quilting and black thread on the back. So now what you're going to want to do is, if you look at your instructions, on step number 11, or actually step number 10, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and measure 8 inches out from the center on all of your lines, your diagonal lines and your horizontal lines. Measure 8 inches out from the center and you're going to mark those. And I've already marked that on this piece of fabric, and you can see right up here at the top, that's 8 inches out from the center. And then if I go over here, this one is marked 8 inches out from the center. And then what I want to do with those 8 inches out from the center that are marked all the way around is I want to connect those lines. And I've already connected. You can see this is 8 inches out from the center and here's 8 inches out from the center. If I back up a little bit, you can probably see both of them. And then you just want to connect those. So you're going to use your ruler and you're going to go from that center crosshairs here to your center crosshairs over here and just mark that with a line. And you can see I did that with a chalk pencil all the way around. But once you get those all trimmed or all drawn out, you're going to go ahead and trim those. So I'm going to put you over here so you can see. And I'm going to go ahead and start trimming. Yes, Connie, I pre-quilted. So the quilting on this is not done on my embroidery machine. If you have an embroider, if you do like edge to edge embroidery in the hoop, you can go ahead and quilt it in the hoop. But to save some time today, I already pre-quilted this. So now I'm just marking those lines that I marked 8 inches out from the center, and I'm just going to trim. All right, so now I've trimmed, and each one of these points is my points that were 8 inches out from the center that I had marked. So now you can see in our finished table topper, excuse me, and in the one that is on the cover of your pattern, it's kind of rounded and then it dips in and it's rounded and it dips in and it's rounded and it dips in as it goes around the edge. So now if you look at page 4 of your instructions, let me get to page 4. It just says that you are going to, my page 4 is missing. But it just says that you're just going to slightly round those corners and then you're going to dip in between the 2 points. So to do this, I'm going to move this over a little bit closer so you can see. So to do this, I'm again going to use my little chalk pencil and I'm just going to soften those sharp corners by just drawing a little curved line. And just from experience of doing this on my sample one, if you don't like go dramatic with your curves, it's a little easier. So just do your dip, just go in just a little bit to do your dip. And I'm just kind of drawing those lines because I'm going to cut that out with the scissors here in a minute. But these lines are not permanent, so they give me something to follow when I'm cutting with my scissors. So I'm just going to just go around the edges and soften that all out and get rid of all these sharp little points all the way around. If you like the look of all these sharp little points, it's your project. There's nothing saying that you have to go in and soften it. So you can leave those sharp points if you want to. So now I'm just going to grab my scissors. And I went all the way around and drew those lines. So now I have something to follow. And I'm just going to trim with the scissors to create those curves. And they don't have to like be big dramatic curves. They can just be little ones. And I'm just doing this all the way around, just softening it out by adding these little dips and these little curves on the top. Making my way all the way around. All right, so there I went all the way around. And you can see my little piles of trimmings on the table. There's not very much there, so you can see I just really took off just a little minimal amount. But now you can kind of see how it softened the edges up a little bit. So once you get it trimmed like that, then you're going to take that binding that you prepared and you're going to take that over to your sewing machine And what I like to do is I like to sew my binding onto all by machine. If you like to do it by hand, you can do it by hand. But if you do it by machine, what I like to do is I like to take the raw edges of my binding and line it up with the raw edges of my quilt. And I'll just go about 1/4 of an inch and just stitch all the way around. And then go back, flip it and press it, and then do a top stitch on the binding on the front side so I can see it and go all the way around. And that's what I did with this one here. So there is the binding, and you can see on the front and the back side how well that turned out. Cindy's saying, since it's got curves, wouldn't it be better to use a bias binding? You could use a bias binding, and it probably would be easier to use with the curves, but I felt that since the curves were so little, they're just those little dips, I didn't have any problem just cutting my strips and using a regular binding. So, and Ellen said, did you pre-quilt with a backing in place or add backing later? So I did not pre-quilt. I quilted after I got all of my embroidery all done. And then I had my fusible fleece in there. And so I just I just put a backing on, and then I went to my machine and I threw it on my long arm quick, and I just did an edge to edge design right over the top. And it's right over the top of those applique pieces as well. So it just went right over the top. And so I had no problem with that. So that's how I did it. If you wanted to do a pre-quilting before you do any of your embroidery, you probably could do that, but then you wouldn't have any quilting on the back of your quilt either. So it's up to you however you want to add the quilting in there. I just did it right over the top after I was done. So if you have any other questions, just let me know. Otherwise, that is it for today. I did say there is one more grand prize for our door prizes. And that is this OESD embroidery collection. So it's the Silver Bells decor. There's 3 CDs here. So this is a great bundle pack. So it's the Silver Bells ornaments, the Silver Bells quilt, and the Silver Bells decor. And it's wrapped so nicely. I don't even want to like open it up to get it all out to see what's in there. So this nice little 3-pack bundle, and the winner of this is Ellen Gerber. So congratulations, Ellen. This OESD bundle is for you. We will get this to you. So I hope you guys learned a lot of stuff today. Remember, if you're interested in that Cutworks tool, send me an email at kendra@pnqs.net and I will get you hooked up with that. And I hope you had a lot of fun and learned something new, and you will join us again next month for our little coasters that we are going to be making. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and I will see you soon.